Assignment 4.1 continued on part 2. So a first aid kit also wasn't present, and this is a major issue because if there's no one qualified to administer first aid, and if something goes wrong, nobody can help the injured person. A check that a first aid or a first aid kit is present should always be done before any kind of testing has been taken place. This is because it means any incidents that can arise can be dealt with swiftly without causing the performer any more hassle or pain. Participant, sorry. Also, all first aid procedures must be told to everyone before the warm up or any instructions be done. This is because something can happen at any time, so that everyone must be aware of what to do. When any scientific testing is done, it must be impartial. On the day of the testing, no girls were tested. This may be because they ran out of time, but it shows that the research only wanted to test the male gymnast, and this isn't fair. To make it fair, when the test is done, it needs to be fair, and to make it fair, he needs to have an equal amount of both. This would get him a better set and a more accurate set of results. This is to show the difference between the two gymnasts, but it also helps all the gymnasts learn their VO2 max. After all, the tests were meant to be done to help the gymnast improve, so by just be doing the male section, it doesn't help everyone who was there on the day partaking in the tests. The performers may have also been deceived. This is because they weren't specifically told about how intense the test is. This means that if someone has a condition like asthma, they may not be able to do this test, but as they were deceived, they wouldn't have known about the intensity. So they may have signed the consent form and agreed that everything's fine to do the test as it's a VO2 max test. They may have thought it may have been a walking or a gentle jog. They may not have been told about the incrementation about it and how hard it is. They had been deceived via omission. The researcher didn't tell the performers, so they had no idea about the intensity. And when someone's being deceived by omission, it means something has been omitted. It's been left out. They've deliberately not told them. This is scientific misconduct, and it can lead to BASIS credentials being taken away and the researcher never being allowed to test on anyone again. If a review occurred, then it would see all of the other things that occurred during the testing that went wrong, so e.g. the performer twisting their knee and the researcher just telling them to run it underwater. This is not very good first aid. A test can be terminated when the performer says they've had enough, when the researcher thinks it needs to be stopped. In this example, the performer wanted to stop, but the researcher denied their request to stop. And this isn't good because the performer may feel like they are unable to continue. And if they did, it could lead to something fatal and cause even more injury, more than a twisted knee. Next time it could be a head injury, which is severe. And all results must remain confidential unless the performers have said it's okay for them to be shared. As the researcher posts the results online, it breaks confidentiality rules, and especially as there are children involved, it could be detrimental for them if other people find out their results. And by posting it on an alumni group in your university that doesn't have restricted access is very immature and very not responsible. This could lead to a form of either physical or psychological bullying from the rest of the team. If this was the case and the researcher is responsible for this, they may have to undergo some form of ethical training to prevent this from occurring again. Ethical training is done when something goes wrong, and it is done so something can be prevented from going wrong again. So, for example, in this, the researcher posted the results. They may have to undergo ethical training as to why they shouldn't post results publicly. Scenario 3. Another day, you're asked to test the same group of gymnasts. Today's test will be on the effect of P&F stretching on the levels of flexibility in young gymnasts. They had to complete a consent form to be there, but they weren't told about anything that's going to be done on the day. Some of the gymnasts were concerned about this, that the maintenance with the stretches and don't want to be ridiculed because of this by the researcher. The gymnasts' parents were allowed to come and watch the testing take place, as it would make the children feel more comfortable. And before the testing is done, the researcher asks permission for the participants if they are allowed to touch them to help them complete the stretch properly. And after the testing, the gymnasts are debriefed as to what happened on the day. So what's good is a consent form has been done, and which shows that the parents know what's going on, and also the performers and young gymnasts know exactly what's going to be going on. And a consent form is crucial when testing is being done, as I explained before. It's because it knows what's going to be done and how it's going to be done. However, when they arrive, they weren't warmed up. This is bad because they haven't been prepared for testing in the correct way, and this can lead to injury. And this could also lead to the test becoming interrupted because the researchers have to provide first aid or find the first aider who is meant to be present. so that they're able to treat the injured performer. And that's why preparing the subject for testing is important, especially when it's something with needles. A performer must be told that they are going to be injected with things or have blood lactate taken with a pinprick. They need to be told about this before this, and they must be ensured that they are able to do that. And by preparing your subject, that's what needs to be done. Um, the performers weren't told about what was going to be done other than the PNF training session. So they may have felt some kind of apprehension towards this because they wouldn't have any idea what's going on. And this is when scientific testing is done, there must be a clear order of service, not only so that the performers know what's going on, but also anyone who's there, so e.g. the coach and the parents know what's going on. So when they see them going straight to doing stretches, they may be a bit confused about all of this. And the order of service also should be designed so that anyone can have a look at it. So that if somebody who wanted to replicate their test in the near future would be able to look at it instantly and say, "Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I need to do." The researcher also, there was nothing said about the researcher applying for ethical clearance, and before any testing must be done, ethical clearance has to be granted. If ethical clearance hasn't been granted, then the test is deemed to be illegal, and they may face a very severe punishment for this. Ethical clearance is crucial because it shows that an ethics committee has actually accepted this test to be done. This is more common for tests that are more serious and have a high chance of something becoming fatal. For a test like this, the ethical clearance would be accepted rather easily, but for something where you're injecting people with supplements, it may become a lot harder. This means that the test shouldn't go ahead if they hadn't applied for approvance or the approvance got declined. Because there'd be no one of relevance knows about the test going on and makes it even high risk. Whenever testing is done, the ethical clearance is done. Otherwise, the results become void, and if the results are void, the test would have been for the performers and the researcher. It would have been a waste of time. In every test, the researcher has a responsibility to look after the performers from when they enter the test site to when they leave. If they leave the performers unattended and something happens, then the researcher is liable to a lawsuit. And this is also if they leave them unattended for more than 5 minutes whilst they're doing a stretch, and then one of them injures themselves severely, and they aren't watching them, and that performer has a fatal injury, then the researcher is liable to a prison sentence, and they'll most likely lose their job because of it. So they have a very high responsibility to look after them throughout the whole day and give that important duty of care. This could also ruin their hopes and ambitions of future medical testing. So in this scenario, it's a post-university student, and they need to continuously test to improve their skills and look for employment. A health screening questionnaire or PARQ must be done for the performer before any testing is done, and this is to make sure they are able to do what is going to be done. So, for example, they need to make sure they don't have any underlying medical conditions which could affect the testing that will be being done on the day. So the researcher should have ensured that a PARQ was done with every single participant before each warm-up and testing began, because if there wasn't and something went wrong, then the researcher is becoming liable. The researcher has also asked for permission to touch, and this is good because if the performers were unaware they were going to be assisted during the stretch, they may feel like they were very confused due to the fact they were just being touched at random. They may also have to tell their parents about this. This could lead to a serious lawsuit against the researcher, which could also lead to a loss of job. If they lose their job, they will no longer be able to continue medically testing, and if they can't medically test, then their career ambitions would be done. At the end of the day, they did a debrief, and this is very good because once a debrief has been done, they clear up any issues that the performers may have had with the test and what was being done. So A debrief must always be done as well, and it allows the performers to ask any questions they have about the results or what's going to happen with the results. And then it also allows the performer to say to the researcher, "I don't want my result to be shared," and that can be, and that's allowed because the researcher has to um, allow that request. And also, it shows to the coach that they brought the gymnasts with that they're taking their responsibility seriously of a researcher, and also it calms everyone down if they have any nerves about anything. So here is an example of a health screening questionnaire. So it just gives the full name, the gender, the age, date of birth, contact number, and other emergency contact information. And below it, there would be things like, have you got any underlying medical conditions such as heart disease, kidney failure, anything like that, anything serious that could prevent them from doing any form of testing, no matter whether it's stretching, running, or body fat baseline test, something like that must be done. And here's an example of a risk assessment. So, for example, in this, there could be a wet floor and spillage. So you put the hazard in, you then say who is at risk. So for the wet floor and spillage, everybody's at risk from this, the researcher and the um, performers, and the controls that need to be put in place to prevent this. So you need to make sure everyone keeps lids on bottles and watch out for spillings. So then you do a likelihood rating, an outcome, so the what could happen. So from a twisted ankle to a broken leg to death. And then you times those two together to get your risk rating. So for the wet floor and spillage, the risk rating is 4. And the action is necessary, so you need to make sure that all people are drinking water outside of the hall, make sure everyone has bottles in. Before any activity is done, the risk assessment is the most crucial part because you're saying this is what every risk is. And then every risk assessment also has to be signed by another person who was checked through as well, because it stops anything falling through the cracks. Thank you.